Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to demonstrate what a parley is. So, the senior officer, in this case Henry Joy McCracken, will tie a white cravat to his sword, and he will approach under the internationally accepted sign of peace, and he'll want to negotiate a settlement, naturally on Henry Joy McCracken's terms, with Major Seddon of the King's forces. So, Henry Joy McCracken, what are you up to?
We're here to meet Major Seddon, and we're going to have words with him.
And what do you want? Complete surrender?
We would like him to surrender, give up his arms, and we'll let the troops go safe.
And why is that?
We think we're going to outdo him. We've too many men. We've taken Ballymena, Randallstown, and Larne, and we're giving them the opportunity now to leave.
Okay, and of course you want his weapons, cannon, and maybe a few defections.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, well, we'll talk to Major Seddon shortly. Major Seddon, what is happening?
We have a rabble in front of us here who have the audacity to present themselves before His Majesty's forces and ask them to retreat, I think, and give up our weapons. That will never happen, needless to say. They are still His Majesty's peace. I don't know why His Majesty can be saying that, but I'm sure our son is really upsetting me. I was in the middle of dinner, and had he got the force to see them off. Of course, I've got the force, and I've got more men coming up. So I've got reinforcements coming. Reinforcements coming from Belfast, the General Legion. Yes, I have a dispatch rider off 5 hours ago, division up in Belfast, and we've had the men seen off in Valley Easton. They're not going to come and join them. We've had the men seen off outside Rockport in Norway, and Nugent has said they're taking care of them on his way here. And once Nugent comes to the disbanded, and I've given it a good opportunity to the whole, save their lives, save their homes, because once this is all over, it's not over. We will stick them out and put them to the sword and bring them from Paris to get to go negotiate.
And we have the drum to silence, please. We have silence for the parley, please, drummers. Silence during the parley. So, Henry Joy McCracken, you've heard what Major Seddon had to say.
Major Seddon, I am Henry Joy McCracken, leader of the United Irishmen of Antrim and Down. We've taken Ballymena, Randallstown, and Larne. We're calling on you now to give up your arms. My comrade here came from Moginia of our strength. We've destroyed the bridge and built so you have no hope of any support from the north.
I'm James Hope, Major Seddon. I have the honour to be second in command to Henry Joy McCracken of the combined forces of Antrim and Down. We know your strength, 150 men, including some civilians. We have 9,000 men, 4 columns are surrounding the town. We have north, west, south and east. From the north, we have Johnny McCorney, his defenders, the United Irishmen of North Antrim and Coombe. They have destroyed the bridge, so you have no hope of assistance from the north. Our colleagues and brethren in Down have risen, so you have no hope of any help from Belfast or Lisburn. We've seen off your dragoons with their pikes and muskets. You've seen the slaughter we've given there. I am prepared to lead a full frontal attack on your position. No quarter will be given. My colleague John McGivern here has a team of 100 sharpshooters who will outflank me to the right. You have a strict defensive position that stands, but we will have a full frontal assault, and then our sharpshooters will take you from the right. We do not wish to have any more bloodshed. We have taken Ballymena, we've taken Carrickfergus, we've taken Randallstown. We allowed the troops in Randallstown to lay down their arms and march out. We're giving you the same offer, but as Henry Joy said, if you don't take this offer now, battle will commence and there will be no quarter given.
I'm very sorry to disappoint you three gentlemen, But you've been fighting me now for almost 7 hours with my small force, with your crack men. What have you achieved? Nothing. What happened to your cannon at the top of the town? It's like yourselves, it fell apart, just like you will do if you march on us now. I give you fair warning, gentlemen. Despite what your intelligence is, our intelligence is a lot better. Our men are marching, Nugent is on his way. My advice to you is, like you're trying to advise me, stupidly enough, to give up my weapons, which you know will never happen. Our men are crack shots, not pretend crack shots, like these 100 men you've had a chance to use all day on us. Where have they been? They have produced themselves. I'm sorry, but I cannot believe you. I can only put the faith in His Majesty's regiments will attend upon us and will attend and come to our plea. I ask you to leave the field. I ask you to spare your women and children the plight of having to make a living without the head of the family and the older sibling boys being there to help them. And I will make sure you're put off your lands and out of your houses. And we will seek you, and we will hang you from the highest tree. You've been given fair warning, and now it's up to yourselves.
Our cause is just. We're men of honour. We're fighting for freedom. Your men are lackeys. So we will not take your orders, sir. We will meet you, pike against sword, musket against musket, and we will destroy those cannons. Henry, join.
We offer you one last chance to make your stand. Give up your arms and we'll let the troops go and safe passage. Otherwise,
Gentlemen, look behind you. Look at your men. What have they got? Sticks with farm implements attached to them. Women and children, no age. The only thing they have in their heart is they rally behind these men because they believe in you. But remember, after today, they will have no faith in ever rising again. We will put this rising down. Once again, I appeal on my good nature to ask you to leave the field. If not, bring forth your men. We're willing to take them on. Do you think them little farm ambulance is going to take on this splendid line of well-trained, seasoned troops? Well, I don't know. I give up inhumanity if this is all you can do. And call your men. Have a soul, gentlemen. Have a thought for who stand behind you.
For Antrim and down, gentlemen.
So there you are, ladies and gentlemen. The Army of Ulster returned to the bridge end under the command of Henry Joy McCracken with James Hope and under the command of Major Sever. The King's forces composed of troopers and cavalrymen and very importantly 3 artillery pieces get ready for the battle. Now, the delay in the rebel attack had allowed General Nugent to gain information from informants, and General Nugent, as you heard, alerted Sever, who commanded the small garrison, and he said, "We will reinforce you. The Belfast garrison will arrive." Taking a carefully calculated risk, General Nugent dispatched a mixed column of regulars, militia and yeomanry from Belfast, and another from General Goldie's command in Lisburn, in the hope of scotching the rebellion on the first day without endangering the important city and indeed strategic city of Belfast. Alas, despite his theoretical overwhelming superiority, initially he had 9,000, believed 4,000 fought in battle, but McCracken waited far too long before entering the historic town of Antrim through the Scotch quarter, and the tiny garrison, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, had plenty of time to prepare a doughty defence. With delays and confusion amongst the rebels, it's estimated that 70 force of 150 faced approximately 4,000 rebels. The garrison formed themselves in a strong defensive position at the base of the domain wall of Antrim Castle, with infantry to the fore and cavalry to the rear, Lumley's cavalry to the rear, with their flanks anchored by the Market House and the Presbyterian Meeting House. The cavalry led by Colonel William Lumley, commander of the 22nd Dragoons, had obtained permission to move ahead of the main relief column heading for Antrim, and he entered the town by the Masarene Bridge. So you can hear now that the pipes are trying to inspire the troops, giving them hope in their hearts. The wonderful sound of pipes and drums, encouraging the brave pikemen of the United Irishmen under the command of Henry Joy McCracken on towards battle with the men of the King's Army, commanded by Major Seddon. The main rebel attack took place at about 3 p.m. when the first rank of attackers was met by cannon fire, which caused them to withdraw. This encouraged and indeed emboldened Lumley, who thought it was a general retreat, to make the mistake of launching a cavalry charge. But the pikemen saw off the horses with their long pikes. They were able to ground their pikes into the ground and form a defensive wall of soldiers with the pikes at a 45-degree angle, thus keeping the horses away. The horse had no choice but to impale itself on the pike or else to retreat. However, the rebels managed to retreat in an orderly fashion, and they now reformed in a strong defensive position. They met and they routed the cavalry with both musket fire and, of course, the long traditional symbol of the United Irish Rebellion, the pike. The dragoons took casualties. Colonel Lumley was severely wounded and 2 of his officers were killed. His cavalry were raked with musket fire by hosts of sharpshooters positioned throughout the town on the battle as they retreated. The rebels were encouraged by this retreat, and they attacked Devon's defensive position in the town so fiercely that the troops began to withdraw, and in this confusion, then Lord O'Neill, was killed. A rebel attempt to seize the hardware, supplies, important musketry was narrowly beaten off with the help of a strapping local lady, Peggy Court, surely an early example of girl power in Northern Ireland. Devon then withdrew his men behind the walls of Antrim Castle, and from this strong shelter beat off several attacks that tried to dislodge it, including a number of attacks on the flank or on the side. Alas for the United Irishmen, in spite of their overwhelming superior numbers, at this crucial stage of the battle, there was confusion in ranks of the northern column of the Army of Ulster. They thought a bugle call for the retreat of dragoons was actually an order to charge. As I said before, musical instruments play an important role in the battle. Commands are given the flag or indeed the sound of a bugle. There you are, ladies and gentlemen, that was the deployment of the artillery team. And remember, the artillery could be either great shots, which is like shrapnel, which would cut through the ranks of soldiers, or indeed a cannonball, which usually bounced and then would slice through 2 or 3 ranks. So now you can see the rebels forcing Major Sedgwick's army back to their defensive position, the redoubt in Antrim Castle. Sedgwick withdraws his men behind the walls of Antrim Castle, and from this shelter beats off many attacks to dislodge it. The rebels took the upper hand here, ladies and gentlemen, but there was a bugle call, and this was fatal. It was to actually get the dragoons, the King's army, to retreat to the safety of the castle. But the rebels thought it was the order to charge, and they feared the town was in loyalist hands, that the King's troops had come up, and they were about to be attacked. And this is the problem. Ultimately, the rebels lost their hope, and they retreated. Henry Joy McCracken showed his true bravery and leadership in attempting to prevent any panic. But as I say, ladies and gentlemen, before modern communications and the like, battlefields were a confusing place, and often people didn't realise what was going on. In a battlefield, the only way was to charge. If you went into a retreat, you had your back to the enemy, and you presented an easy target to them. So McCracken attempted to stop the panic, and apart from Hope holding the churchyard, many of the rebels started ultimately to disperse. As I say, James Hope was acting effectively as a number 2 to Henry Joy McCracken. It was the local Antrim man, John McGibbon, who assembled 53 United Irishman rebels at Muscat to attack the yeomanry in panic and prayer. So you can see at the moment now here, ladies and gentlemen, the rebels are beginning to fall back, having got confused. You can just again hear the guns, these wonderful guns. They are replicas of some of the muskets that would have been fired at the time, along with the artillery piece. And it looks like one rebel has been captured and has been marched off the tower as I speak. So the 2 sides now are forming up again for another charge. As I say, such as battles like this, there was an ebb and flow. It was an urban conflict, not like the traditional Battle of Waterloo or other battles on the plain and open field. But here this was an urban battle in a restricted environment, down streets onto the sort of base of the castle, in the castle domain. You will see the ladies courageously waving the rebel flag, the gold harp on the green background, with a gold strip. This was, of course, before the Act of Union, so the then Union flag was not in existence. It was just the flag of St George and the cross of St Andrew. The cross was, of course, added after 1801 when the Act of Union came in. And as I say, the Act of Union largely stemmed from rebellions like this and a desire to bring arms under increasing control from central administration in Westminster. So as I say, the armies would have formed up opposite each other. There would have been charges, and then vicious hand-to-hand fighting. And then one side would have retreated a bit more, as the King's army ultimately retreated to a final position in Antrim Castle. And of course, had the walls of the Antrim Castle been breached, of course the history could have been different. The King's troops had 3 cannons. Unfortunately, the rebels only had one mounted on a cart. It only in the event fired 1 shot. And the whole purpose was to take the important garrison town of Antrim, and in that way have more weapons, and in particular, have the tanks or hardware at their time, the artillery pieces. Now we see, ladies and gentlemen, a march by Major Sennett, leading his troops, rallying his troops. Remember, both sides knew that no quarter would be given, that if the garrison surrendered, they would all be killed. Time for the relief column, I believe. Time for the relief column. So, at this critical juncture, British reinforcements arrived from Belfast, just outside the town, and they actually assumed it to be held by the rebels and began to shell it with their artillery. So this is a case of friendly fire. The guns of General Nugent fired on their own troops. This elapsed prompted more desertions, and the rebel army began to disintegrate, but their small withdrawal was protected by a vital band of brothers, later named the Spartan Band, under James Hope, who fought a successful rearguard action from the church grounds along the main street, which allowed the bulk of the rebels to restore safely. So this was heroism indeed. Ultimately, the rebels were pushed out of the town. Having a casualty evacuated from the battle site. As I say, in these days, women went to war and were involved in taking care of the wounded, as well, of course, as leading the army. All these roles, of course, later on became professional with the Royal Army Medical Corps and, of course, the Service Corps that would ensure that people were fed and looked after. But in these days, rebels had to do all this themselves. So, ladies and gentlemen, the rebels hearing the British arriving tried to withdraw. So at this stage, Major Sennett knows that he has won the day. He has held the garrison of Antrim, and that indeed, the rebels are on the back foot, but they'll have to withdraw. And the military, indeed, the British Army, the King's Army, wiped out the army of Ulster. They entered the town, and they took no quarter. They murdered men, women, and children. They began a spree of looting and burning, and it was noted amongst the most enthusiastic perpetrators of this revenge no quarter killing. Instruction was the members of the Monaghan militia, 4 of whom had been previously executed for a reasonless revolt. The Krakens opened their remaining supporters withdrew northward, establishing camps of ever-dripping distant tribes along the route of their recent retreat, until finally the defeat of the United Irishmen in the Battle of Antrim took all their hopes. The postscript was that Henry Joy McCracken was arrested by yeomen on the 7th of July. He was hanged in Belfast for his part in this rebellion on the 17th of July, having received an offer of clemency, effectively his life, for giving information on his comrades. Henry Joy McCracken is remembered and commemorated to this day in his historic role in the 1798 rebellion. Bearing in mind the number of combatants involved, agitators are trying to be life. It's important that from the military estimates that counted the bodies afterwards, that between 150 and 200 rebels were killed. It is reported that amongst the crowd forces, 2 officers were killed, along with the then Lord O'Neill, but there's no report actually how many members of the King's Army were actually killed. It is reported that the Belfast force under General Houston were leaving Antrim and did not lose a single man. On the 4th of June 2016, over 200 years after the battle,
Don't panic. The thing was on the radio.
the sound of cannon, muskets, the crack of
Or no one that makes a
rifles,
meeting
the
goes.
swirl of fire,
Bring the flash
the
good there.
haunting sound of the fight, and the
Right
elaborate
off
drum.
the record.
With a reenactment of the final skirmishes between Major 7th and Henry Joy McCracken.
I need a table pump that still.
The British forces, led by Major 7th, won the day based upon their defensive position in the castle. And they took on and picked off the rebel attack, bravely led by McCracken, McGibbon and Rodney McCauley. On behalf of the great game fairs of Ireland, we'd like to thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you've enjoyed and learned a lot from this. Just to remind you that you can enjoy a free £5 off voucher for the great game fairs of Ireland country fair in the historic King Castle Estate. And we'll also have the game fair living village, which will have a similar enactment to today. This will show you how important our history is to you. We hope you've enjoyed today. As I say, the lessons of history are being learned, and I now leave you with that great event of Flower of Scotland.
The moral of the story is there's been fighting in this colony from against the British for many years. You still doing an odd wedding, Ian, or is that kind of... Don't bother them at all. They say it's a May building, Ian. I've never been on it. They say it is a May building.
So there you are, ladies and gentlemen, the King's Troop just acknowledging the famous victory. As I say, one is always magnanimous in victory. Now, the special sentence around, maybe you join me for a few words, along with the ghost of Henry Joy McCracken, and then we will have a little talk about the battle. As I say, ultimately, power resided with the King's force. They had the artillery people. They also had mounted troops, cavalry. And to this day, you will see horses are often used in all the situations. And horses are a symbol of power. Of course, we have the lifeguards, the boots of royals. Major said, you certainly held the day. This is like Rorke's Drift, but 100 years earlier.
It goes to show that you cannot ever defeat a well-trained, well-disciplined, well-armed army that's in front of you. A lesson to be learned from today, and I hope the whole of Ireland at this time makes note of what happened here in Antrim. that we were outnumbered probably 50 to 1, 60 to 1 at one stage, if we can believe all McCracken and his rabble had to say. But we still held the day with a small army, and hopefully it'll show a lesson. We shall retire, rest up, and then we shall go out, back ourselves to the country and party now to gather up the rebels and bring them to justice for taking up arms and having the audacity to do so against Our Majesty King George.
Of course, your army is a professional army, and each of your soldiers is well drilled, well armed, well ammunition. Whereas some of the rebels maybe had pikes or pitchforks or sort of farmyard implements. So while you might have been a smaller force, perhaps in terms of firepower, especially given your 3 field artillery pieces and your cavalry, you were more relaxed than maybe the rebels thought.
Well, the only thing the rebels had on their side was their heart and their soul to rise and have the audacity to come forward. That was the only army that they had in their chest box. A few old-fashioned muskets, a rotten old cannon that held the fist up the street. That should have been the sign for them to pack up their bags and go home. You need to get in close to your enemy with pitchforks. I don't have to get in close with my musket and ball.
That's it. You have to keep them at a distance. James Hope.
We gave them a good fight. We outnumbered them. Unfortunately, some of our columns hung back when they saw the smoke. They thought the British relief column had arrived. I'm not pointing any fingers, but the northern column did not come forward where we wanted to. We made some mistakes in terms of we had no defensive position because we thought we were going to sweep them aside like we did in Ballymena and Randallstown. Our pikemen very courageously turned back a very severe cavalry charge, and with that spirit we thought we would overrun Seddon. But Seddon's a wily old bird. He picked his defensive position well, and he saw us all. Full honours to Seddon, a doughty opponent, and someone that I think will go far in the British Army.
There you are, Major Seddon. Praise indeed, not faint praise, but real praise from a worthy foe, I think.
Well, you can think I'm worthy, but I can think about nothing else but something I've got to go looking for tomorrow instead of enjoying myself back at my camp. And they say we had a good charge. Whenever they were Randallstown men were coming, a few of my men who actually were dispersing to head back to Randallstown in the fight, and some say they were running scared. I'm not sure. I'll have a court inquiry on that in the morning. They upset the Randallstown men, thinking that we, in all fairness, had taken Antrim back, and the Randallstown men turned back. Had they come forward, it might have been a different outcome today. But thankfully, great as it is in every battle, you will find somewhere along the line there's a little tweak that has happened by mistake or by design and pull the enemy. And thankfully, my dragoons retreating back to Randallstown for whatever reason, and as I say, I will find that out. I'll get to the bottom of that, since the Randallstown man packing. But that was only with 20 or 30 horses against the so-called 3,000 or 4,000 men marching from Randallstown. They should have swallowed my dragoons up, but they didn't. They took their heels and ran. And I think that explains everything about this uprising. It was half-hearted and half-thought out and badly planned.
I don't know if this will be that on time, but surely, James, the problem was that you did not seize the hardware, the artillery in time. If you turned the artillery on Seddon and the castle, you would have won the day.
A couple of things that occurred. First of all, our brethren in Down did not rise when they were supposed to. They rose a week after this battle, and it meant that General Nugent could split his forces. We thought that the brethren in Down would hold Nugent in Belfast to defend Belfast against the Down men. Unfortunately, he didn't rise in time, and Nugent was able to send reinforcements here. We hadn't a defensive position other than my own defensive position in the churchyard. Our men, later known as a band of Spartans, held back any charge by the British. They held back Seddon's forces, they held back Lumley's dragoons, and we fought a rear guard action with the majority of the United Irishmen were actually to leave Antrim unscathed. Out of about 4,000 who took part in the battle, only 150 were killed, largely due to the courage of Hope and his men in the churchyard. Unfortunately, some of our other brethren were not as brave or committed or skilled at arms
and so we had to take casualties, and ultimately we had to retreat from trained British forces. The relief column arrived in time for Seddon, but I take nothing away from Seddon. With 150 men, he repulsed over 4,000. So certainly, in terms of military endeavour, Seddon wins today.
So, Major Seddon, what couldn't stop in the American Revolution, what took over, albeit the context of the French Revolution, you and a band of 150 put a stop to in Ireland.
Except you calling them a band, they are well-trained, well-trained, well-put-together troops under my command, and I am proud to call them my own. And yes, there is different battles, as I pointed out before. Little tweaks happen to each battle, and luck was on my side today, I will admit. And so, to this, I bid you all adieu. Thank you for watching us in action. We hope you enjoyed yourselves. And maybe I would ask you to put your hands together for everybody that took part today, especially my men, and give them a rousing cheer. Thank you very much.
So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we'd like to thank everybody who took part. The Hollywood High Band for providing such wonderful music and atmosphere. To our reenactors on all sides, to the civilian and police services, John's Ambulance, Police Service of Northern Ireland, and to the Borough Council for their support here this afternoon. And we wish you a pleasant day. Don't forget, the castle grounds are open, and you're very welcome. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have the honour to be invited by Danny Kinnaman, Member of Parliament for the constituency, and he's been flanked by Major Seddon on his left, and indeed James Pope on his right, and the photographs being dressed by the members of the King's Force. Danny Kinnaman, very welcome here this afternoon. We would like to say thanks to all governmental and civilian organisations, the police, John's Ambulance, the local town council, the reenactment, and all those who took part.
Thank you.